Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. In today's episode, we're continuing our Austin Rover journey in 1983. Now we're up to the Ambassador. Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight. Now if you're new to Quarterlight, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube, looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s and sometimes beyond that as well. So if you're interested in cars, car brochures, looking back on cars gone by, please do consider it. It's all completely free. Memories, that's really what the program's all about, really. Memories and looking back and, thinking back when I saw this car last, I was doing X, Y, Z. For me anyway, and I'm sure for a lot of the viewers anyway. I'm sorry to waffle a bit. I don't want to do that because we've got quite a bit to get through. So we've been looking at this series for this 1983 Austin Rover brochure. Last week we looked at Ital, very much an aging model. Another very much aging model next, the Princess. So let's throw that on the board and have a look at it now. So here it is in a lovely black page, the Austin Ambassador. Lovely front shot of this top of the range model, which will be the Vanden Plas. Yep, lots of criticism and comments coming. I'm saying that completely wrong. I'm going to continue saying Vanden Plas because maybe it's wrong, maybe it isn't, but it most likely is wrong really. But back in 1983, I'm pretty sure that's how Austin Rover Group said it as well. So we're looking back at history. I think pretty much everyone in the UK at least called these the Vanden Plas in 1983. So we're going to continue. So yes, top of the range Ambassador here. Zooming straight in. Apart from it being not the nicest colour for the top of the range model, some easy ways to identify the top spec Ambassador at the time. We get these extra little lights on there which really do look like they've been pulled from the aftermarket, Halfords or something, and you've stuck that on yourselves. Doesn't really look too factory, does it? But also you've got this little bit of bright work on top of that grille. Anyway, let's move on. Let's see how the range begins. So the range starts here with the L, so the most basic Ambassador at the time. Probably not as stupid as it sounds really getting the Ambassador L. Really, the Ambassador was really all sold at this time on price. Bargain basement car. You get a lot of car, as in size, for your money. I don't know if there was many cars this size sold at this price. Mainly because it was an ancient design really. Should have gone ages and ages ago. We're still waiting for the Maestros and Montegos to arrive, so we've still got the Ambassador at this time. But like I said, I'm presuming as late as this as well. I bet you could have picked some real cheap Ambassadors up, particularly the bargain basement L. We'll have a look up here to see what you get on the L, then we'll come back to these images. So you got such luxuries as a push button LWMW radio, laminated windscreen, 54.7 cubic foot cargo capacity, head restraints and a digital clock. Now, those sorts of specifications there in the 70s would have been quite a high spec model actually, but we're getting head restraints, we're getting a digital clock, we're getting a radio, for goodness sake, all on the base model. And like I said, not that long ago there would have been quite high spec items on cars in general, at least affordable cars in general. And of course that 54.7 cubic foot cargo capacity was certainly a selling point. Of course now the Ambassador's got a hatch, which was certainly an improvement over the Princess, which really should have always had a hatchback. Engine wise, we get a 4-cylinder 1700cc engine producing 83 bhp, coupled to a 4-speed all synchromesh gearbox. But there is also an optional 3-speed auto, so no engine choices on the L, but you did have a choice of a manual or of an automatic, which is possibly a little bit unusual on such a base model. Looks wise, the L always looked cheap. I don't think it's helping that this is in white. They always looked very sort of poverty spec, to be honest with you. And we'll notice this when we move to the next models, but you know, no door rubbing strips, or you know, part of these in the supermarket car park end up with all that door rash all over the side. A very plain all black grille, no bright work on the bumpers, all made it look really low actually. And then you've got these real poverty basic steel grey painted wheels. Now looking down, there is a big difference between this and the Princess. The fact that it's much nicer to carry things around in, being a hatchback now, although you can still see it's a pretty old design with it, you know, having quite a high lip to lift things in. The other thing you'll notice with the L, no rear wash wipe, we've just got blanking plugs, so that's certainly a big omission on this base model. But you do get such niceties as your rear seat that folds down, although you notice it's just a one all or nothing sort of seat, it's not a split fold. Things that you do get though, so you get this remote control driver's door mirror, you get a push button radio, you get a locking fuel filler cover, you even got a lockable glove box. But looking at that dash, so here is the dash, looking very plain, very ordinary. Not obviously got that much equipment on there, but I don't think any of the Ambassadors really were that well equipped. The niceties included things like nicer seats more than anything. No rev counter, but even the Vanden Plas weirdly didn't come with a rev counter for the Ambassador, which was very weird at this time. But we do get, you know, your digital clock, we do get your radio, we do get your lockable glove box. Apologies, this particular page is attracting lots of reflections. But overall, I don't think it was too bad, considering, you know, it would have been a low price machine. Really a good sort of load lugger, really. You get reasonably nice looking seats for a base model, but obviously you could go higher, so let's go higher. And going higher in the world of Austin Rover at this time usually meant you went from an L to a HL, and indeed the Ambassador is going to a HL, rather nicely showing the main advantage really over the Princess that it replaced, having this nice big hatchback. Let's have a look at some of the features it got, then we'll come back to these nice images. And in a lot of ways it was worth going up to at least a HL, because you got twin remote control door mirrors, side rubbing strips now, a rear centre armrest, that all important rear wash wipe and tinted glass. Interior does look better in this sort of like two-tone sort of colour. Shows a few of the warning lights, nothing really out of the ordinary. Quite nice and look quite comfortable seats with headrests. You get front door bins in the doors. It also shows there you've still got the keep fit windows. Front to rear courtesy lights, and we even get a little bit of a shot of the family, see how nicely they fit in there. Possibly a little bit weird that this girl's legs are right up there, but you know, an idea that you can fit 5 in the Ambassador. So this particular HL, much nicer colour, I think you notice. I think that makes it look so much nicer straight away. We've got a little bit of a black area in the centre of the wheels there. We've got door rubbing strips like we said, and we also got these sort of like bright work in the bumpers as well, that really lifts it. Weirdly doesn't show, but rear wash wipe on there as well. Engine wise, so the choice is now with the HL, you can get the 1700 like before with the 83 bhp. You now can get a 2 litre, so a 2 litre HL, 1994cc or 92 bhp. Again, with a 4-speed all synchromesh or the optional 3-speed auto. Now we're moving to more sort of high spec models, 4 in the range, so the L, the HL, we're now up to the HLS and then Vanden Plas to come, so certainly on the higher end of the spec range. The Ambassador HLS, think electric windows now, so you know, certainly a nice model to move up to. Let's see the features, then we'll look at some of these nice pictures. So we get some such features on the HLS as electric front window lifts, central door locking, certainly handy on a big car like this, econometer, bright wheel embellishers and velour trimmed door casings. So we are just down to one engine choice now with the HLS. It is a larger engine though, 4-cylinder transverse OHC alloy head, twin carburetors, automatic choke, 1994cc, bhp now up to 100 bhp. Again, manual or auto. There's your HLS then, and you can see such features over the base model for the first time. You can see the grille isn't just all one black colour now. Wheel embellishers, sort of the bright sort of beauty rings around there. It's not a lot, but you know, it is what it is really. Moving down, the seats do again look nice. Nice sort of like armrests on there too, and a centre armrest in that back seat. Also telling us, if you'll notice, they are rear seat belts, but of course they are an optional extra item. Tells us the seats move around a bit, but you know, I think we would expect that. Look at the interior. Still not really a high spec model, but you certainly see less blanking plugs in there for sure. Central door locking, again, like I say, a nice feature for a larger car. Remote control exterior passenger door mirrors, and then at the top here we've got that econometer. You know, playing the game, give yourself a bit of a featherlight accelerator, trying to keep that econometer out of the red. And then electric front window lifts near that little cigarette lighter, which is here just above the radio. So in the previous version these were all like blanking plugs. And then we turn the page, we get the Ambassador really you aspire to own if you're an Ambassador owner, the Vanden Plas. And actually this time it wasn't actually that badly equipped. We'll start up here with the description, then we'll come back to some of these little extra features it came with. So we got a dapple crushed velour seating, I think that's probably the highlight, a radio stereo cassette player, slide tilt sunroof, alloy wheels and rear inertia reel seat belts. So rear seat belt standard in the Vanden Plas, which was certainly nice and forward thinking. So like I said, not too badly equipped. We can see those big rubbing strips down the side, those alloy wheels. Now we get alloy wheels, which isn't bad, because even in top models alloy wheels isn't given. I'm thinking Ford and their gears didn't always come with alloy wheels, did they? But here it is on the Ambassador. So again, nice features for what would have been very, very keenly priced. Not a bad radio stereo cassette unit for its time. Rear seat mat pockets, it calls them, luxury mat pockets it calls them. We do rather nicely get a steel sunroof. Those very nice velour seats, which really for me is kind of the selling point. They are certainly the nicest seats there. We've even got little bits of head restraints sort of built into the back seats as well, and of course rear seat belts is nice to see at this early time. Look at the dashboard. Looks quite nice in this sort of lighter colour like this. It is the nicest looking of them all, but weirdly we've still got blanking plugs, if you notice, rather weirdly, on the top of the range model. And also we've got no rev counter, again, something very weird about the Ambassador. We do get those front fog lamps, which, like I say, it looks like it's just been added on as a bit of a second thought, or bought from Halfords by the third or fourth owner. What else have we got? 4 radio speakers, rear courtesy lamp operated by all doors, and those actually quite nice alloy wheels. Engine choice again is just that one engine, so the 1994cc 100 bhp unit, again either manual or auto. Now of course we're going to look at the Ambassador colour range in a moment and see what colours you could get, but before we might just have a quick look in comparison with this. This is a 77 brochure on the Princess. essentially the car that came before it. Let's just zoom in on that. And there it is. Certainly looks like a Ambassador, doesn't it, really? I mean, the Ambassador was really a heavily updated version of this car, but they changed it from being a saloon to a hatchback, and in fact only the doors and inner structure were carried over from this model. But because it was still that sort of wedge shaped, it never really felt like a new model, the Ambassador, did it? So they must have spent an awful lot of money making the Ambassador, having a hatchback, which really it should have always been as a Princess, really, but spent all that money on it. I don't think anyone was really thought of it as being a brand new car. It just felt like another elderly 70s car, really. And in some ways I actually prefer the Princess in many ways. I kind of prefer the Princess looks. To me, I don't know, the Princess seemed a little bit more special, and you got different versions of lower spec models having these sort of round lights, and then this really nice looking HLS with the more familiar Princess lights at the front. But even the HLS just looks better than even the Vanden Plas Ambassador to me. It looks a bit more special. And of course we could get that 2200, so a 27cc 6-cylinder engine, so 6-cylinder engines you can get here. So like I say, heavily updated from this. Not much of it really carried over to the new Ambassador. I don't think it looked as good. I don't think it had as much interesting engines like a 6-cylinder engine. I think the only real advantage was a hatchback, which these always should have been anyway. It was a bit of a strange one for me. So okay, let's go back to our original brochure. Let's have a look at the colours that the Ambassador came in January, February, March 1983. So you could get such colours as Silver Leaf Metallic. We can just not make out Silver Leaf Metallic on this page. You could of course get black on there as well, although this time none of those colours you could get. But let's just move down a little bit further. Other colours you could get, you'd think you could get Clove Brown, but it's not telling us we can at this time. You can get Cashmere Gold. That's certainly looks quite fitting for the Ambassador, that one I kind of think. Other colours you could get are things like Opaline Green Metallic. And actually, thinking about Opaline Green Metallic, I always think Opaline Green Metallic and Zircon Blue Metallic go together, but you couldn't actually get the Zircon Blue Metallic. You can only get the Opaline Green Metallic for the Ambassador, which is a little bit of a strange one. Anyway, other colours you could get, and I have just gone past one actually, the Porto Red Metallic you could get. You could also get the Ermine White. Moving down still further, you can get the Champagne Beige, you can get the Ember Glow Red, and also you can get this Nautilus blue colour at the end there. So not all these colours you can get for your Ambassador, but still not a bad range of colours. In fact, I think my favourite for the Ambassador actually is the Champagne Gold Metallic. I don't know why, but I quite like that, and I think it suits it quite well in the 80s for this particular model. So there we go, a quick look at the Austin Ambassadors, and like I say, at this time, January, February, March 1983, it was a car a little bit out of place, wasn't it? Desperate really for those Maestros and those Montegos to come about, and even them were late really, weren't they, when they came out, but certainly a little bit desperate by this stage. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today. If you do remember the Ambassadors, or indeed the Princesses, any stories about those, I always love reading about them, so jot them in the comments. And overall, thank you so much for watching, but we'll end by saying, as we always do, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. I'm going to throw a couple of extra boxes up there. That's going to be one box there for this particular series for these 1983 Austin Rover cars. And obviously eventually all the series will go on there, but if you missed any of the earlier ones we've done already, Mini, Metro, Ital, you will find them there. I'll also add another box with a random video on there that you can have a look at. But I want to say thank you so much for watching today. Please do take care, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye.